half of America's heroin supply. Later, we'll meet an ex-CIA and Drug Enforcement Administration agent who saw CIA drug smuggling into Miami Airport during 1985 and 86. He tried to alert the government through normal channels, testified to the staff of 2 congressional committees, and at a trial in Florida. Now he's getting death threats by phone and mail for trying to do his duty. We'll review some case studies first of covert political action in America to neutralize critics in Congress and the colleges. The CIA was created by the National Security Act of 1947, which authorized it to collect and analyze information and to do the otherwise illegal acts called covert operations. Covert operations include propaganda, buying elections, murder, and a variety of dirty tricks which are illegal everywhere. This National Security Act recognized the danger of creating such an institution by forbidding the CIA to conduct any political operations in America. Democracies are especially vulnerable to propaganda campaigns, for example, since the wisdom of a peoples is perverted if the information they receive about the world and their leaders is false. But at that time, fear of the KGB and communism was so great that this danger was accepted as a price we had to pay to fight them. One problem with this scheme to authorize crimes outside the U.S. but forbid them in America was overlooked. The Congress forgot that most of the killers, propagandists, and political operatives which CIA trained and financed would eventually come home. People are creatures of habit, and once you've spent 20 or 30 years getting rich by this kind of crime, not everyone wants to retire. The CIA also works with some very strange groups. One of the more peculiar liaisons I uncovered was the relationship between the CIA and a religious cult run by a man called Sun Myung Moon. Actually, a phony scholar who came to our local university but who really worked for both the CIA and Moon first brought this subject to my attention in 1989. A congressional research report called the Moon Group a tightly disciplined international political party which resembles a multinational corporation involving manufacturing, international trade, defense contracting, finance, and other business activities. Congress also found significant links between the Moonies and the South Korean CIA. True believers are told that Moon is the second Messiah, come to save the earth. They believe the earth is satanically controlled and follow a doctrine of heavenly deception, which means they may lie or commit other acts against non-Moonies on the theory that we're just puppets of Satan and the Messiah needs to trick resources out of the satanic world. This got them into trouble with tax evasion and deceptive, even coercive tactics against young Americans. Thus the common perception that the Moons are a cult. Mr. Moon started his cult or religion in Korea in 1951. One of his earliest and most loyal followers was a KCIA man named Bo Hee-pak. The KCIA was created by our CIA, as were many intelligence organizations like the South African CIA, SAVAK in Iran, Chile's DINA, in fact almost all of the agencies in Latin America. The CIA likes cults because they're useful in providing front groups and for doing things which the CIA is forbidden to do, such as to spy on Americans at home. Both CIA and Moon are deeply interested in psychological operations. The old word is propaganda, but that doesn't convey the sophistication which PSYOPs techniques have achieved after 45 years of field testing. That's after the Nazi experiments in World War II, of course, which were substantial. In April 1989, I received a very strange letter. It was a copy of one sent to the Dean of the Humphrey Institute of the University of Minnesota. The letter questioned the academic credentials of a speaker at an upcoming conference. This was very unusual, but I had 12 days to study the conference and the speaker whose credentials were challenged. What I found was most interesting. I'll call the man in question Agent X, since it's become illegal for Americans to name CIA agents. First, I tried to find some of the books which the program said he'd written, and I read books by the other participants. I couldn't find any books by X or papers through the normal indexes, so I arranged for a professional database search of over 4,000 libraries in America. We found only 2 papers at the Library of Congress in Spanish. So I called faculty in Iowa, where Agent X was based. I found that he did teach at a small private college, that he didn't have his PhD yet, but would soon get one, and finally that a lot of people were very frightened by the man because of his efforts to surveil individuals and groups with an interest in Central American issues. His biography identified a long and close association with a known CIA asset going back 13 years to when X worked for the Central Bank of Somoza, the old Nicaraguan dictator. On the conference program, remember, X was identified as a simple sociologist from the University of Dubuque. This newspaper item from 1985 shows him helping set up a chapter of a Moon Front group in Minnesota. The article cites the Moon connection confirmed by them. This was my second hint that the Moonies and the CIA might collaborate. Later I'd discover many more. What on earth, I asked, was a phony scholar doing working for both the Moonies and the CIA, and why did the CIA work with the Moonies at all? Low-intensity conflict is a war-making doctrine which anticipates many wars in the Third World. It stresses psychological, economic, and covert operations and regards the home front as a key. This conference was arranged very quickly without balancing views which the Institute imposes on other programs. It was oriented toward ROTC cadets and other military units and was publicized mainly among those groups. The conference was funded by the National Strategy Information Center, a New York think tank founded in 1962 by William Casey and Prescott Bush. Casey was a veteran of the OSS, the CIA's World War II predecessor. He would become Ronald Reagan's campaign manager, then director of the CIA. Prescott Bush was in World War I Army intelligence, a powerful Wall Street investment banker, a senator, and father of George Bush. So the Humphrey Institute was providing academic respectability for a program whose actual form was controlled by a think tank with intelligence connections. That's not fraud, although it could have been more honestly stated. But what happened at the conference was amazing. It was a first-class fascist propaganda program, telling the mainly cadet and military audience that the church was their enemy in Latin America, to ignore civilian casualties, and to regard critics in America as at best misguided and at worst as traitors to be dealt with in the war at home. An Air Force colonel said critics of U.S. policy were useful idiots or traitors. A RAND analyst urged us to ignore civilian casualties. Not noted in the program was the fact that he was also hired by the Guatemalan military to help design their counterinsurgency program, which has killed about 100,000 civilians. Agent X told us over and over that religion is the main gateway to insurgency for Latins and implied that the church was our enemy in that region. This is Colonel H. Lee Dixon from the Air Force Center for Low-Intensity Conflict.
There is no natural domestic constituency for America's foreign policy. We must build one. Conferences such as this one address this specific point, but more needs to be done. That is not to say that some individuals and organizations have not discovered and developed the power of information. This brings me to the second concern, the use of disinformation and misinformation in the pursuit of ideas which may be considered detrimental to the interests of this country. Those that would have you believe that low-intensity conflict is a war against the poor are misinformed. Often it is uncertain whether these people and organizations are serving as useful idiots or truly wish to see the demise of this great nation.